Hello everyone, I'm your host Marlene and welcome to today's Make Your Voice Matter interview. Today I'm here with Thomas Estler. How are you doing today, Thomas?
I'm doing great, Marlene.
Good. I'm so glad that you could be here today. Thomas is the founder of a nonprofit organization that's called Freedom Ladder, and today he's going to be telling us a little bit more about the organization and what we can do to make a difference. So first I wanted to ask you, what exactly is Freedom Ladder and what is the mission of this organization?
Freedom Ladder's mission is to protect children using popular entertainment. For instance, we created a comic book with the help of the FBI that educates kids about human trafficking and gives them proven tools to protect themselves. I don't know if you know this, but the FBI estimates there's 200,000 Americans trafficked every year. And when I talk to agents, they think there's many more than that are trafficked. But this is an estimate. But the average age of someone being trafficked is 12 years old. So our goal is prevention. Our goal is to reach kids before they're victimized and equip them with tools they can use for the rest of their lives to protect themselves.
Who are victims? Who is trafficked? Who's the target?
Well, victims can come from any socioeconomic background, any racial background. It may be that that economic stressors in the home have something to do with it. It looks like 8 out of 10 victims of human trafficking have gone through the foster care program. So, families that are running into trouble may have an effect on it.
How do traffickers or pimps find them?
Oh, that's a great question. We're here in New York City, and Covenant House is over on 41st Street and 10th Avenue, and a couple blocks away is Port Authority. Okay. And Covenant House, you can just go by there, and I've seen this, and there are pimps out there waiting, looking for young women who seem to be distressed, who are alone, and they're looking for runaway girls.
That's recently what I saw is that even at train stations in the city,
yes,
these pimps are looking for runaway young girls.
And Covenant House, they say, on the days when their beds fill up and they have to turn people away, which they hate doing, the pimps are waiting at the local diners, because where are these girls going to go? Well, they're going to go to an all-night diner maybe, and so they're waiting for them.
Do you also think that the internet has opened a way to expose?
Yes. So there's a lot of cyber pimps out there that.
And there's specific websites as well, correct?
Yes.
That are selling escorts.
Yes. So exactly. It used to be that when cops wanted to crack down, say, on prostitution. It was all out in the open. There was a track where prostitutes went around. But that is in the past. We don't even look at the sex industry in the same way. For instance, I look at most people involved in the sex industry as victims, not as criminals. And it's really because, you would think that nobody decides that is what they want to do for a living. That it's really some economic situation that is being forced them into that situation. So, or into that, into that area.
How does your comic book target and reach these victims?
So we actually created a workshop around the comic book, and we bring the workshop into schools and libraries and homeless shelters and YMCAs and churches, and we educate kids about what this issue is, what human trafficking is, and equip them with the tools they need to know to put themselves at the front lines of their own protection. Because it's not while kids are at school that they're in danger, or at home under the watchful eye of a caring parent that they're in danger. It's on the way to school, or on the way to their best friend's house, or on the way to the corner store. And experts are saying the best way to protect children is to educate them, and that's what we need to do.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Do you think that you've had any obstacles with that? Have there been
Yeah.
parents that, it's a touchy subject,
Yes.
so I could see how parents might not want to address it, but you do have to educate
Yes, I mean, it's a grim subject. The idea of a 12-year-old girl being forced into having sex 12, 13, or being raped, really, let's call it what it is, 12 or 13 times a night. This is a grim, grim subject matter. And the comic book isn't grim. It's a Nancy Drew mystery. It's a Veronica Mars mystery. It's a crime story.
Which is great because
yes.
it's a way that appeals to them
Yes.
and their age. I know when I was 12, I wouldn't be interested in reading anything serious that had to do with sex trafficking.
Exactly.
But if you do it in a way that appeals to me,
Yes.
I'm going to be like, wow,
Yeah.
that's great because it prepares them.
Yes.
You know, to look out for certain things and to be
Yeah.
aware of warning signs.
That's
and
right.
everything.
And as what you were mentioning, our obstacle is that caring adults like parents and teachers and educators and civic leaders feel that this subject matter is too grim for children to learn about that. But what happens is that means that the age group that is most vulnerable to being trafficked is made even more vulnerable because they don't know what's going on. And we really have figured out how to create a comic book that satisfies the apprehensions that adults have around this subject matter. And like I said, it's a story where the first half is you know, a girl's best friend disappears, and she just, like a detective, starts gathering all the clues to try and find out what's happened to her best friend. So half of the comic book is just about that, and those clues are the most common red flags of a child being trafficked. And you know, it doesn't really go into the really horrendous details of the crime that really
so it's
exactly
tailored to their age, but
yes,
at the
it
same
does.
time they can learn
It
from
is.
it, which is important.
Yeah, and then the other great thing about a comic book is that it reaches kids of all reading abilities, you know, all literacy levels, you know, so it doesn't matter that maybe you're a new immigrant to the country and you don't know English very well. The illustrations do the heavy lifting of telling the story. And of course we do it, you know, we have a workshop and it's great. I go into, say, this Dominican school that I know, and you know, there's maybe 4 kids that don't know any English, but their neighbors are just translating as they go. They raise their hand, they ask a question in Spanish, and just so fluidly, it's translated for me. I answer in English, and then, you know, I'm not even conscious of the translation of the answer that's going, you know, on by the neighbors. You know, it's just absolutely
like a universal way to connect.
Yeah, and So it really is great, and that's what's great about a comic book is that the illustrations make it very approachable and accessible to a wide range of kids in literacy levels, things like that.
So one of the final questions I wanted to ask you is, what can we do to make a difference and to spot signs of sex trafficking in our communities?
Yeah, oh, such a great, well, there's so many things that people can do. You know, this industry is driven by demand, and doesn't it make sense for you to just go online and find out where the predators in your neighborhood live? You know, that's something that kids should know.
Yeah,
you know,
aware of that.
Yeah. I think also pay attention to your friends and your brothers and sisters for any behavior that seems to be out of. You know, notice when they're depressed about something, find out what's going on. Pay attention to any of your friends that start dating much, you know, older men. You know, so if they're minors and they're dating someone that's 22, 23, or if they're hanging around older men, or suppose they suddenly look abused in some way, you know, bruises and lacerations.
Yeah, look out for those
Pay
signs.
attention to what's going on with your friends and your brothers and sisters. Make sure you're on top of what's going on, and make sure you know who you can go to for help. Your parents, if they're good at helping you, teachers, counselors, coaches, principals, religious leaders, cops in your neighborhood, And you can go to any adult, some adult that you know you can trust and who's going to respond and who's going to be able to help you. Go to those people. You know, part of human trafficking we haven't dealt with, but is huge in the world, is labor trafficking. So another thing that you can do is there's so many products that seem to be tainted by slave labor. And by the way, there are more slaves today in the world than at any other time in history. But one of the things you can do is buy chocolate that's fair trade. Go to companies that advertises being fair trade and buy their products. It's maybe a few cents more, but not much. And you will be doing something to fight human trafficking in the world. And you'll be letting lots of corporations know that you don't want, if enough people are buying fair trade chocolate, then
they're going to start noticing it
right.
from their sales.
Yeah, and they'll say, we've got to get on board. We've got to make sure that history of our chocolate, who made it, who packaged it, who developed it, who farmed it, that it's clean. That there's no slavery involved in that people are being paid a fair wage to get that chocolate bar on our shelves.
That's great. Thank you so much for informing us on everything.
Yeah.
It's great that we can be aware of these issues, and it's really amazing that you bring such an important topic to light, because sex trafficking does happen here and globally, and it's great to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And also to anybody watching, thank you for tuning in, and I will be posting a link to Thomas Estler's Freedom Ladder site, as well as where you guys can purchase mangas. Thank you.